Hello everyone and welcome to the next tutorial on duct tape stuff. This tutorial is actually my 1-year anniversary tutorial. It was 1 year ago to the day that I started making tutorials on duct tape stuff, and I just thought I'd share that with you. And today we are going to be making a iPod case out of duct tape. As you can probably tell, this is a first generation iPod Nano, so if you have a different style iPod, you probably do have a different style iPod because this was actually released a long time ago. So don't worry if you have a different style of iPod, it really doesn't make a difference. We're pretty much going to be using the same concept and the same style of case for whatever iPod you have, like an iPod Classic, an iPod Touch, or a more recent style of the Nano. So don't worry about it if you have a different kind than this one here. You're pretty much going to be using the same concept, and we're just going to be using this one as a template for this tutorial. Okay, my first step is I'm going to take two 4-inch strips and stick them together, and just like this. Now this is, remember, this is for my iPod Nano here. If you have a much longer iPod, you generally want about a 1/2 inch more. So my iPod here is about 3.5 inches, so I'm cutting them out 4 inches long. So I'm going to take two of those, stick them together just like that, slip it underneath my iPod here, take two more 4-inch strips and stick them together, and I'm going to lay that on top, and I'm just going to sandwich my iPod in between. Now with my iPod Nano here, since it's so thin, I pretty much only need to take just two pieces of duct tape and stick them together, and duct tape just happens to be a little bit longer or a little bit wider than the actual iPod Nano. If you have like an iPod Classic or something, you're probably going to have to like double up and put 4 strips on each one of these instead of just two, just to make it bigger, so you're sandwiching in between two much larger pieces of duct tape. But for this iPod Nano here, it's just two pieces of duct tape stuck together. So I'm going to sandwich those in the center there. Take another 4-inch strip, just one of them. I'm going to put about half of it on this top one here, and then what I'm very carefully going to do with my iPod in the center, I'm going to wrap it around after I make sure that this bottom part is folded underneath, just like that. Okay? So that's the one side. Now we're going to take another 4-inch strip and do the exact same thing on this side here. So after I've sealed up the sides, I'm just going to take a small piece of duct tape, put half of it on the bottom here, and then half of it on the other side. Fold it back over. Now once again, since this is such a small case and I'm making it for such a small iPod, I can pretty much just cut out any little small piece of duct tape and it'll fit right over the bottom here. But once again, if you're making it for a larger case or a larger iPod, you might have to double up and make the sheet in the bottom bigger. So that's the bottom piece, and then pretty much we're going to slip our iPod into there and see how it works. So basically here's what it looks like after I've cut a part for the screen, rectangle for the screen, and a circle for the click wheel. And since my iPod Nano for the first generation, the only thing on the top is small hold button, and pretty much everything else is situated on the bottom, the headphone jack, the charger port. So I leave that part open, so that's because that's where I'm going to be using a lot of the stuff, like the headphones and everything. So for that part I left open, but different iPod models have different configurations, like the headphone jack on the top and a lot of different variations, so you might have to play with that a little bit depending on what style iPod you're making it for. Also, obviously, if you're making an iPod Classic or an iPod Touch, you're going to be making a much larger sheet, and you're going to be cutting out a much larger piece for the screen. Obviously, since this is such a small iPod Nano, it's a small little screen part here. But once again, this is a really small iPod. It's fairly old, so that's how to make a iPod case, and it really doesn't take too much to just modify your own case to whatever kind of iPod you have. And that's my 1-year anniversary tutorial, and hopefully I will make another one for you guys soon. So stay tuned and take care.